going on, everybody? It is another episode of the Mainly Broncos podcast. One step closer. The Broncos are one step closer to the Super Bowl. It was a game that I think a lot of Bronco fans will remember for some sad reasons, but also a lot of really great reasons, for that game. And we are going to be talking a lot about that game and possibly a lot of the stuff that happened after that, probably from the Broncos side of things. Obviously, there was a lot of stuff that came out from the Bills side of things that probably we need to talk about in terms of their press conference. First things first, obviously, make sure you hit the subscribe button for the MHRT Network page over there on YouTube. If you guys are new citizens, over here on the MHRT Network, make sure you do hit that subscribe button. There's also a join feature over there on YouTube. There's different levels. I think there's like 3 different levels. I want to say it's a $2.99, a $6.99, and then I believe it's a $12.99. So feel free to subscribe however it is that you guys feel like it. And thank you guys so much. There is a Mainly Broncos YouTube channel where you'll see the exact same stream that you see on MHRT. So if you missed it for whatever reason on MHRT Network, but you really can't find it, and you can find it over on the Mainly Broncos YouTube channel, you could find it over there. And as well, we are going live. We are streaming live on all 4 Twitter accounts of ours. We are going live on my Twitter account at Cameron Parker PO. We're going live over on Jordan's Twitter account at Jordan T. Lopez and Brandon's Twitter account at Brandon Miller PO, and of course the main MHRT Network handle. So thank you guys so much for hopping in the saddle with us for another episode of the Mainly Broncos podcast. Before we dive into anything and before we actually even talk about the game, how are you doing, gents? Brandon, you good? I know you're recovering. Things are trending in the right direction, but so far it sounds like things are going pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing better now. I've been feeling like I felt totally fine for multiple days, and then today I just randomly had some weird sinus problems again, which is what I had when I first got sick, so that sucked. But now physically I'm doing fine. Emotionally, I am an absolute train wreck in every way possible. That was the most whiplash I've ever experienced in my life from a sporting event specifically, and I can't remember that ever happening before in that way. So that was horrifying, but I'm alive. Let's just go with that.
Now, obviously, there was a lot that happened on Monday, and I'm sure there was some world of emotions going with the guy over there on the top right. Jordan, have you recovered in any shape or form?
I have. It all started with the Broncos. The Bo news coming out 10 minutes after the game, and me reading it, and it really didn't click. I kind of thought that was fake, even to the nighttime. And I guess it hit me the next day, but it really didn't just click for me because I just we've never seen that before ever. But yeah, I got that, and then I had the Hurricanes game on Monday where I was certain we were gonna drive down and win that game, and then we throw that pick, and it's just devastation from there. But there was an overwhelmingly amount of support for UM and the fans for that team and stuff. So it wasn't more of an emotional train wreck. It was actually more showing appreciation, I should say, for that team and getting us back to national prominence. So, but I totally thought we were going to march down and win. So, but guess what? I only have one football team left. Now Jarrett Stidham is leading it.
He is. Just briefly, Jordan, I mean, how are you overall? Because we touched on it briefly about kind of from your side of things, how similar maybe the Miami year and the Broncos year for the most part have kind of been, where no one really expected the Broncos to certainly be a number 1 seed, and obviously at this point moved to the AFC Championship game. And then obviously Miami's standpoint, no one even expected them to be in the AFC champion, in the college football playoff. And then all of a sudden they are in the national championship. So obviously it does suck not to win it, but are you one where you're really kind of relishing the fact that that season was for the Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah. Like I'm even repping my Canes thing today, where yeah, it sucks not to win, but and I thought I was gonna take the loss a lot more worse than I am. I'm actually kind of taking it pretty good, but pause. But yeah, that I think the season that was, and I think the and the Broncos have a similar path to the season where it was more inside the building, both teams that were saying, hey, we can make a far run. We have the guys in the locker room, but it wasn't really like nationally. And they both, went all the way and was 40 seconds shy from winning the whole thing. And the Broncos right now are one game away from the game. But Broncos have a little wrench that got thrown their way in the midst of it.
It did. And it was a whirlwind of emotions. Being at that game, I mean, first things first, it was like one of the greatest games that I will remember for a very long time. Like, take the result of going home and, all of that, and driving in and pulling into the garage and getting that news. Take that out of it just for a second, and just that game itself is going to end up going down as one of the best games that I can recall. And I find it funny that the two best games of the year for the Denver Broncos, they scored 33 points. And arguably the exact same jersey combination, except for the socks. That was a bit different. So I kind of found that a little bit funny. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Obviously, it was a wild ride. It was definitely a wild ride. Just the initial side of things, just maybe a brief overview of kind of like the game and everything that you guys saw. Brandon, we'll start with you.
Man, that was a ridiculous game. That was also like one of the most confusing games I think that I've watched, and in a sense, like, it was an amazing game, but some of the turnovers, specifically by Josh Allen, was just like mind-numbingly stupid, and I just was kind of shocked at, like, it started off when he it was like towards the end of
half,
and he's like running and just like throws it behind him. Like, he looked like he was rolling a bowling ball. He looked like he was running one direction and then trying to roll a bowling ball back the other direction from like where he was running. I don't even know how to describe it. It was ridiculously stupid. I don't know what he was trying to do. By far one of the just strangest fumbles I've ever seen. But that entire game, like, I don't know. I feel like going into it, it was like a situation where, honestly, I kind of fully expected us to lose. I was not going to, like, I know it picked us winning. I would have loved it if we won, which obviously we ended up doing. But I kind of went into it like, I'm just going to enjoy this. We're in the playoffs again. I'm not going to like expect that we're going to win and like have my heart broken.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'm just going to enjoy it and, think we're probably going to lose. This is a crazy good team we're going against. We're playing the best quarterback left in the playoffs, and it's just going to suck, but it's going to be fun. And that was kind of a awakening for me of like, you know what, this team can actually do some stuff. This team being, us, the Broncos, because the way that we beat them, yes, the turnovers were fortunate, but Bo absolutely played his ass off. Like, that was towards the level of, I would say, like, that game and the Packers game are probably the two best games I've seen him play in his career. And obviously one of them is a playoff game. So that was incredibly encouraging. And the absolute lack of run game that we had blew my mind. And to the point where on that play that he ended up getting injured on, where he just kind of did that weird run to the left where he lost 2 yards.
The famous
I
running
literally
game.
watched that play and I was like, what was the point of that?
Yeah.
Why did we do that? Give it to a running back. And I think the only reason I could come up with is we didn't trust the running backs to do anything. And like other than, in the passing game, which, RJ Harvey is special as a pass catcher. But just an insane all around game. Really good game, really enjoyable. I'm still scratching my head about some of the decisions that Josh Allen made, but you know what? We got that W, take that L on the way out, and I don't know where they're going to go from here. But the Bills are in trouble, and the Broncos are looking up.
Yeah, it's funny you said the Packers game because that is exactly my comparison of game as far as like what it felt like. Jordan, take us through for you that game, the emotional rides, and everything of it all.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can hear me, because I guess my Wi-Fi is tinkering a bit. Am I good?
You transferred the lagging, Brandon, over to Jordan.
Oh, brother,
that's my gift to you for losing the national championship.
Yeah, but I would agree with everything Brandon said. I also do believe Bo Nix played at a top 5 level against the Bills, and I know that's going to get a lot of people mad, but it's just the truth. I was also told that winning close games was unsustainable. That couldn't be further from the truth. And then Bo Nix's clutch play continues. So, I mean, we got everything we wanted, and I don't know if there's still questions. I guess there is about Bo. I don't understand the amount of hate this guy gets. But if that didn't show you that he's the guy, and he is a guy, just period. I mean, I don't know what else he has to prove to you because my God, he is he's one of a kind. He really is. And I know the running joke right now is, oh, I hope the Broncos do pay Bo because they're trying to take a shot at us because if we pay them, we're not going to pay everybody else. Well, we're already like constructing that way because we hold a $40 million dead cap because of Russ. So we're already kind of operating like that. So it's funny watching people kind of maneuver their way around criticizing Bo now, but it was awesome. He was just flat out awesome.
The funny thing to me is the people that criticized Bo all year and said he was terrible are also now saying that the Broncos have no shot to win the Super Bowl. And the only reason that they could be saying, and they don't say Bo's name, they're just saying like, there's no way the Broncos win the Super Bowl.
Right.
But they don't realize that they're saying that because they say, they can't win Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. I didn't finish the sentence entirely. They don't mention Bo, but they don't realize that the same guy that they like shit on all year is now also like the reason that they think we can't win. So I didn't explain that well, but it's like you think that all year we can't win because of Bo, and then suddenly we don't have Bo, and he's the reason because we don't have him that we can't win. I don't get it.
It is just wild.
It's so confusing. I can't even explain it properly.
Well, and I think the way we've said it all year when it comes to the Bo Nix discourse, much to a certain play that happened in this game, it has really separated the ball knowers from people that just don't know what they're talking about. And look, you guys even put it beautifully. And, I would just say that he played at a top 5 level. He did something that only Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes have ever done in the playoffs. And that is beat Josh Allen. If that ain't just a top 5 stat alone, I don't know what is. And, I will say, the lack of the running game I thought was very concerning to a degree, but I have a different take on this. And it actually does go to the Packers game specifically. And this is, but it's a different take. And it's the point of, look, Sean Payton, and it actually kind of leads a little bit too, and maybe in the preview of the Broncos and Patriots that we end up talking about as well. But Sean Payton is arrogant. It's well documented. Like he's arrogant. He's very arrogant in the way of like he is very confident in the construct of the roster that he has. Right? We've talked about that ad nauseum. He is very arrogant about the idea about number 10, that quarterback, and everything that he has. He drafted him as the 6th quarterback in that draft class. When everybody and their mother, their draft analysts, and so on said that, no, you could take him in the 2nd round, take him in the 3rd round. And what does he do? In the Packers game and against the Bills, and the Packers defense had a top 5 pass defense in the entire NFL. And what do the Bills have? The top pass defense in the entire NFL. What does he do? He says, Bo Nix, go light him up like a Christmas tree. I have all belief in you to win this game with with your arm. We have done pass attempts after pass attempts for you all year, leading the entire NFL. Let's go win a game for you in the air. And they did that, and I thought that, definitely the running game was probably less than stellar, of course, and maybe they telegraphed a few running plays for Bo. But this felt also like just a screw you to the NFL for really doubting Bo Nix. And I'm really here to prove to you guys why I took him. And he went toe to toe with Josh Allen there for throw. And I could not be more impressed and happy, obviously, being a Broncos fan, for seeing the fact and the confirmation after all these years, that we actually have a franchise quarterback in Denver.
He only made one-on-one throws, though. They weren't big time throws. It was just a one-on-one throw.
I did see that. That's ridiculous. That's kind of ridiculous.
I don't even know. Honestly, I should have brought it up. I don't know why I'm giving this guy any airtime at all. There's just people out there that are they just want the discourse, and they just want to hate on Bo because they never liked him, and it just continues to take up space in their mind, and they have to talk about it, even though they should just let it go. I don't know. It's so stupid. They don't enjoy the game. They make the game less enjoyable. Just mute them and move on. It just is funny. It's just funny.
Yeah. The other thing right off the top, and like I said, we'll dive a little bit more into this game. But look, we have criticized, some of the role players and the players on this team, but you have to give them the flowers. You have to give them the flowers, in this game, and probably we probably should just lead off with game balls, because obviously Bo Nix is the number one person deserving of a game ball going toe to toe with Allen. But the reason why I say role players is, of all people, Alex Singleton, right? Alex Singleton set the tone early for creating a turnover off of James Cook, right? Everything that we have been clamoring for the Broncos defense, and frankly, was their only saving grace in that game against that Buffalo Bills offense, was creating turnovers. Singleton really, set the tone in that forced fumble against James Cook. And then all in all, I saw that emoji, Jordan, when little Jordan dropped that ball in the end zone, and then he was able to redeem himself in the end zone. But again, just the role players and just how they really stepped up for Bo, I think is the other sidebar story to this game and why it was such a great game.
Well, the one thing I will say that just makes me bummed out, other than obviously the Bo Nix news at the end of the game, is on that very first drive, Pat Bryant was dealing, dude. He was balling. Him and Bo were building that special connection even further in the playoffs. All year, he's been, I would say, a pleasant surprise in how he's been able to come in and make a difference on this offense as a rookie, as someone I personally didn't like the pick of on draft night. I thought there were better.
You aren't the only one in this
there were better
channel.
wide receivers available, and yeah, he just proved me wrong all season, and he came out in the playoffs and he was stealing. And it just sucks that he had to leave the game, although he's thankfully back at practice, so we might get him back for the championship game, which I do think he would be a big asset for that team. But that just blatant drop by Lil Jordan Humphrey, it just was like deflating. Personally, it was like this is where it was the end. Well, no, the injury to Pat Bryant, but then at the end, like Pat Bryant comes out, he's playing well. They get into that scoring situation, both throws that pass to Lil Jordan Humphrey. Like it starts out, I'm feeling good. He throws that touchdown pass, great pass by him, and Lil Jordan Humphrey drops it. And from that point, I'm just like, okay, this is who we're gonna be. Like this is unfortunately kind of the story of this team this year. Is there's not really enough weapons that you can trust on this offense. Lil Jordan Humphrey, Sean Payton likes him. I don't have anything against him, but I just don't think he's a guy that should be getting meaningful snaps for you at that point. And the fact that we were able to turn it around from there, like that would be the death knell for this team for the past 10 years. If you have a drive like that and the guy drops it and you're going against the Bills, like you're probably going to come to pay for that later on. And you might lose the game because of it. And the fact that that didn't happen and we won and we overcame that just tells you how far this team has come and how good Bo is as our quarterback. Because again, that felt deflating to me because I've seen that happen so many times where it's like, all right, this team just not like, we got to the playoffs, but we're not able to get over the hump because their team still isn't good enough, and Bo put him on his back.
Yeah, and that's why the role player stuff is just so amazing because it raised the level of play of everybody in that room. Jordan, I know you've been really critical of, obviously the role players at times and, and some people in particular, but I mean, it is impressive how well they played, in that game, and specifically the game that was the most watched game since the 1994 Winter Olympics.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't start off great, but they kind of got their footing as the game went along. And look. Marvin Mims Jr. getting the ball down the field, running routes. Who would have thought?
Every target.
I've just been crying about it for so long. And it was, listen, big games, Marvin Mims and Bo, that connection is a real thing. It's actually impressive. Every single big game we've had has been awesome for those two. So to see Marvin Mims have the game he had, and listen, I don't know if he really gets in the game if Pat Bryant is hurt, if Troy is hurt. Remember, he had his hamstring. He got out the game pretty early. We don't know if he makes an appearance running those routes. Maybe those routes go to them. So maybe it was luck, maybe it was not. But listen, I know going forward, Marvin Mims has to be the focal point now for this offense. I mean, we all know how dynamic he is. And Cam, you've mentioned it a lot. He might have the best hands in that wide receiver room. I mean, 8 targets, 8 catches? I mean, doesn't get better than that.
The 3 people who have the best hands in the entire room is probably Pat Bryant, Marvin Mims, and Courtland Sutton. I mean, Courtland Sutton definitely has his moments, but between those 3, those are probably your best hands on the team. Mike, shout out you, man. Mile high salute. I definitely know it can be a little bit unbearable living down there on the East Coast. We actually have someone on the network who I do a show with for 5280, and he's on the East Coast, right near New England and stuff. So he's definitely getting in a bunch in terms of from those Patriots fans. But shout out you, man. Thanks for hopping in the channel. Go Broncos, and hopefully we can get a win. And it's one where that maybe that's just the other takeaway of this too, is like, remember all the talk about, and granted, maybe at times we fell into we fell into a little bit when we were talking about how, oh, was this really a vanilla offense that they were having the last 2 weeks, of the season, or was this really their offense? And obviously we were led to believe that it was just a vanilla offense and it really wasn't the offense that that they really had in store, if you will, right? Well, I think it's very abundantly clear they were running that vanilla offense those last 2 weeks. And to I believe it was Mega's point, maybe they did save Marvin Mims for the playoffs, and boy howdy. And I think that's the other point too, Brandon. When you look at Marvin Mims, and obviously Maddie's not here to talk up his boy from Soonerland, but you look at every single step of the way for Marvin in the games that he's played in the Big 12, and even some of the moments here, maybe in the early part of his time as a Bronco, he has risen to the occasion on every single game necessarily when he is called upon. The Bengals game, and then obviously most recently, if you will, this playoff game with Buffalo.
It just makes me continue to question why he wasn't more of a utilized weapon in the pass game since he's been drafted. Like, the dude clearly can ball. He's one of the better wide receivers on this team. He's certainly better than Lil Jordan Humphrey, and yet he just doesn't seem to be used. I don't know if it's just like Sean didn't have a good game plan or couldn't figure out how to fit him into the offense until now, but he's been just kind of a little bit of a revelation. The fact that, I mean, the one thing I will say that like really surprised me is how long it took to get Cortland Sutton involved in the offense whatsoever. But the fact that, Marvin was able to do what he did was just really great to see, and, good for him. And I'm glad that he's able to, have that impact on the offense like he has on the return game. And like, I still think I want him as obviously a returner. He's one of the best returners in the league, all pro, as a matter of fact, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But, maybe it's like they want to keep him fresh for that, and I get it. But you have a guy that can make a difference for you on offense, and it was, it took a long time to get there. But if it's going to take a playoff game to realize that potential, I'll take it, because he was absolutely a difference maker.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I mean, transitioning to another playmaker that needs the ball more and just needs to get involved. Evan Ingram, if he's not involved against the Patriots, I think we're gonna have a hard time because Patriots defense is really good. I really respect their defense. Vrabel's gonna have a great plan going into that game. I don't know if it was a Bo to Ingram thing, which I'm sure it wasn't. I just think he's getting lost in the offense somehow, some way. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's other reasons why. I feel like Bo and Ingram have a good relationship on and off the field.
Mm-hmm.
At least it seems like. If he doesn't have a connection with Stidham, then I don't know what is going to happen with Evan Ingram moving forward, because he is still a dynamic playmaker. We just haven't seen that. And
Regularly.
Stidham, yes, correct. And maybe Stidham gets him involved a little bit more, force feeds him a little bit more. Maybe he just has that natural connection with him. But if Ingram is not involved in this Patriots game, I think it'll be harder than it should be in terms of the Broncos winning the game. But Ingram needs to find his way. He needs to gravitate towards that ball.
Yeah, real quick on the role player thing. I just, and it kind of, I don't mean to like take this to just a brief preview, if you will, of the Patriots game, but like I almost feel like it almost sets up well for Stidham going into the game, because some of the players that are left in that cupboard are players that he should know rather well with his time in preseason, because we did see in preseason where it seemed like he and Evan Ingram had a decent enough chemistry in the preseason. And we know that, I'm sure that he has got something with little Jordan Humphrey as well. And obviously they brought back a familiar face in terms of Brandon Johnson as well. I believe that was today or yesterday. Just real quick, we will. I believe it was Catfish. We'll get to your question when we preview the Patriots game. As far as Mike, in terms of the likelihood that Troy and Pat play, they did practice today. But it bears watching. They practiced on a very limited basis. And so, again, we don't firmly know. But the good news is they practiced on a limited basis. Pat Bryant probably specifically is the one that is surprising that he practiced, because that is his second concussion in a rather short amount of time. So when you look at it too, it's just like the Broncos, when you talk about game balls, obviously numero one, we said, very much goes to Bo Nix. But there's probably one that might be necessarily right on that same tier. And, as we were just focusing there a little bit on the offense, it's perfect to transition to the defense. And there is no person, that needs to be mentioned more. And that is Jaquan McMillan. Great moments are born from great opportunity, right? That's what the movie Miracle taught us. Jaquan McMillan made not just one of the biggest moments in Broncos playoff history and Broncos history, but one of the biggest moments in NFL history. And it caused a firestorm with the Bills fan base and apparently the Bills ownership and organization for them to fire Sean McDermott, immediately following that game. But Jaquan McMillan continues to show up in big time moments, Brandon.
Yeah, he just simply is the most high value, I guess you could say, player in the NFL. Like, for the relative to the amount of money that we are paying him and what we are getting out of him, he is the biggest steal in the league right now. He easily is top 10 in cornerbacks in general, but you'd look at cornerbacks. He kind of primarily plays more in the slot. He's probably like a top 3 corner at worst. And he's just special. Like, he is so versatile. This is kind of why as much as I love Jahdae Barron, I was a little, and I was also, on that train of like, I want us to draft Jahdae Barron. I still like Jahdae Barron, but the fact that we already had Jaquan McMillan made the Barron pick a little more confusing to me, because he does the same kind of thing that you'd want maybe Barron to do, but he's already doing it at a high level and he's not costing you much money. Like, I want McMillan to be a Bronco for the rest of his career. And it's going to be, I don't know if that's going to be the case. I mean, again, because they're going to have to figure out a way to get Barron on the field. They spent a first-round draft pick on him, but you have to also figure out a way to get McMillan on the field and keep him on the field, because he is going to make plays. And he is an absolute difference maker, one of the best players on this team. And yeah, PJ Locke, the redemption arc for PJ Locke, good for him, man. He, came out against the Bills last year in the playoffs and kind of got burned a little bit, and then comes back and, is able to step up to the plate when they needed him. But yeah, McMillan, just hats off to him, because he is just an absolute wrecking ball in every way. Like, he makes plays in the secondary. He's also like kind of our corner blitz guy. He's just so good.
You're talking about Jaquan McMillan, the one that only started because PS2 was hurt, according to Stephen A. Smith. Talking about him?
I don't listen to what anything this Stephen A. Smith says, and you should.
That's what Stephen A. Smith was telling everybody, that, that's so wild. But Jaquan McMillan, Cam, did you immediately celebrate when he had the ball, or were you like in your seat, or was it like a caution, there's no way he caught that, right?
it was hands up in the air, like kind of like one of these kinds of things, and then like he got it, like he got it, like it was actually an interception, because like obviously, you know, with where we're sitting, which was section 135, you don't necessarily have like the greatest view, or I should say, we clearly didn't have the best view when it came to actually whether or not it was an interception or not. But yeah, it was one where it's just like, huh? And so like it was almost like the one in like the way I would describe it is like baseball. You know how like in baseball, you know whether or not an outfielder's got it by just looking strictly at the outfielder and not the ball.
Yeah.
This was a case of like at that point when I didn't know what was going on, I strictly look at the ref. And I was just like, what is the ref doing? And then I started following the crowd, and the crowd's getting cheery. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then they ruled it an interception. And then obviously they didn't review it. It was just like, it all went nuts.
Yeah, because I really didn't like celebrate because I saw he comes out with the ball and he's like running around. I'm like, there's just no way he caught that. But I'm standing up. Like I was sitting down and then I'm standing up. I'm like, there's no way he caught that. And then even the ref signaled it, like we have the ball. But I'm like, he's saying that because that's where they can review it. And then they're reviewing it, and I'm like, that's an interception. Like, that's an INT. And like, so I really didn't like fully celebrate it the way like I should have, because I was just maybe like just in such an awe that it just happened. Like I honestly at first I didn't know that he just snatched it from him. Second, I didn't know if it was gonna be labeled a catch, because who knows nowadays what catch is and what it's not.
Right.
And then third, the officials still have to make the correct call. So
or even review it.
Yeah, and Denver has been on the wrong side of those things the majority of the season. So, but I mean, that interception will go down as one of the best in Broncos history for sure.
Yeah. People are still talking about it, man. I'm kind of tired of seeing it everywhere.
Were you calling it up? Sound like a play.
No, I was actually watching Jarrett Stidham throw a pass against Talanoa Hufanga when Stidham played for the Raiders, and Hufanga was in coverage and got burned for a touchdown. So that's fun.
You know what? If I'm not mistaken, Greenlaw was probably in that game too. So
probably, but Hufanga was literally the one that was trying to cover. I actually don't know what player this is. I think it's a tight end.
Was it
it might have been Mayer.
Maybe,
but that's kind of funny.
That is funny. Talk about having a conversation with Hufanga on something like that. Yeah, no, and obviously that caused a firestorm of what is a catch, what's not a catch. The part that I thought, I mean, obviously, as it turned out, it was very obvious that it was an interception. The thing that I think was very interesting, to say the least, was there was no review. Like there was no review at all. So
they can't review it in overtime, right?
You
can't challenge it, and you can't like do
it has to come from the official review. And so I just assumed that with it being such a pivotal moment of the game, that they would immediately take it to an official review, right? And obviously, I would assume it comes back and it says, that it's an interception. But I mean, geez, I was just. Before we dive a little bit too much into the defense more, I am shocked at how many people, when that came out and they were talking about that interception, either they don't know how to read when it comes to the rule book, or they just simply don't know what an interception really is. Look, it's bad when Joe Burrow comes out of his 2-year hiatus to tweet about the fact that, yes, that of all things is an interception, right? And multiple referees who are on Twitter are coming out saying that's an interception, but clearly that thing just set off a bunch of waves for that whole Bills organization and made them salty from that moment on.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I get it. Okay, you're upset. You lost again in the playoffs, again in overtime, again. Like, it sucks. But I feel like also the amount of like slow-mo footage and screenshots that people have actually makes it worse because
It does.
you can pull up a screenshot of literally any part of any play and say like that it went a different way than it actually went. Like I can pull up the same screenshot of a situation where it looked like an interception, but the receiver actually caught it and tell you that it was an interception. Like I can do that all day. And it's just, okay, you know what? Cope all you want. Cool. It was a good game. Sucks for you. I feel bad for Josh Allen, kind of, just because like, yeah, I mean, it sucks to not see him be able to get past the hump as it were in the playoffs for how good he is, but also when you have the amount of turnovers and the level of turnovers that you did, like you kind of killed yourself there. I don't know, but it's just funny, and copium is a hell of a drug.
Bopium. That's probably the appropriate word. Jordan?
Yeah, I mean, after that, like it's funny the screenshots thing. I screenshot little Jordan Humphrey's drop on the touchdown, and I screenshotted where he had the ball. And I'm like, hey, it should be a touchdown. It's funny. There was a lot of Broncos fans going back at it, like screenshotting like drops and stuff like that. It was pretty hilarious. I'll give them that.
And I will say, and giving another fan base credit on this one, I believe it was Matt Veradame, and for anybody that doesn't know, he's a Chiefs fan. And he tweeted, I believe it was a Bills content writer or something, but he called out like the Marvin Mims catch at the very end of the game, and he was like zooming in on the catch with Marvin Mims, and it's like, brother, if we're treating this thing like it's the JFK assassination, that's a you problem. Like that is a you problem, and you need to get off of social media. So I don't know. It's just it was one where it was pretty evident that at that moment, the wheels really fell off the Bills, and you really got a sense that there was some conversation had of the staff and that ownership of where things were going with Sean McDermott before the game, because at that moment, after that interception in overtime, they were walking on eggshells the entire rest of the game, losing composure. I mean, Josh Allen even losing his composure just a little bit at the end of the game. He didn't lose his composure in the press conference. Shout out to him. He was really the only one that was handling it with grace in the press conference. But I mean, like Tre'Davious White was losing it. Everybody was losing it. And I mean, look, to a certain extent, you could argue that the Bills could have done things a little bit differently, but I think that when you look at it from the standpoint of the Bills in this game, Josh Allen was the reason they were in the game. Josh Allen was the reason they were in the game, and Josh Allen was the reason they lost the game, right? As far as players go, and then obviously at the composure, the end of the game there, that was a disaster.
I mean, yeah, that he missed that like absolute wide open touchdown pass to one of his tight ends that would have won them the game. Like, at a certain point, you got to prove that you can do it. And I'm not saying that Josh Allen is a fraud at all. Like he's proven that he can do it, but this is part of being a quarterback in the NFL and being able to win in these moments. And he just hasn't done it yet. Like, I mean, not that he hasn't won a playoff game. He's obviously won playoff games. Bo Nix now has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's the one who's shown he just can't get past the playoff hump. I mean, look, I like Justin Herbert, but he's looked absolutely atrocious in pretty much all of his playoff games outside of that one where they were winning against Jacksonville and then they just completely threw it away, and that was still partially on him. But yeah, I mean, Josh, they gotta figure it out. I don't know. I do think their roster sucks, but so does ours. Like, honestly, we have some good weapons, sure. But if this is like going to be about, well, the Bills don't have a wide receiver. We have like one good to great wide receiver and some guys that are pretty good and no tight ends, really, because Evan Ingram still hasn't done much, and no running game. And they have the best running game in the league. And so it's just like, at a certain point, it's on the quarterback. Like the amount of times I've seen people still just give Josh Allen every excuse in the book. You know what? He still has to be the one to like punch it in, and he hasn't done it. So I'm not saying he can't do it. Obviously, he's shown he's had success in the playoffs, but find a way to play this in Buffalo.
Great rage. That's great rage bait, buddy. Great rage bait. Good one. What about you?
I thought the play at the end of the first half where the Bills have the ball, 16 seconds left, and no timeouts, and they decide to throw the ball. And then nothing's open. Josh Allen scrambles, and then he fumbles. I mean, that's a fireable offense. So in terms of the transition to like the Sean McDermott firing, not surprised he got fired. In terms of Josh Allen turning over the ball, I was somewhat surprised with the amount of turnovers he had.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I don't think like being put in that situation costing him 3 points. His play with them, like with all due respect to Brandon Cooks, when you throw that ball down the field, you're expecting it for it to be a better, caliber wide receiver than Brandon Cooks. I know he's been good for the Bills, but I mean, you got to surround your guy with talent. So
it was funny. It was funny at the end of the game. The Broncos basically rolled out the exact same type of playmaker group that the Bills had at the end of the game. It was just kind of funny. So,
well, the fact, real quick, to just touch quickly on the Sean McDermott thing, I get it, change is needed, but the fact that they kept and promoted Brandon Beane is like, I don't have the words to describe how that makes me feel, but it's like so. This isn't the word, but the only thing I can come up with is it's hypocritical. Like you need change, and so you decide you're going to make a change. Good on you. You fire the head coach. Sure, there can be a good point to be made that it was time. But then you turn right around and keep the guy that's been making the decisions for the past 6-7 years and give him more responsibility, promote him, and say, like, yeah, this is our guy moving forward. He wasn't the problem, when it's pretty obvious that their complete lack of ability to draft good players outside of pretty much Josh Allen and James Cook is
2 Pro Bowlers.
Just insane. And like, Pro Bowls, I don't think are the best way to measure that, but you don't even need to use Pro Bowls to just look at their draft history. They've been shaky at best, and I just don't understand keeping Brandon Beane. But you know what?
And
you're going to make it easier for the Broncos to beat you again. So
the one thing I will say too about the Bills and firing McDermott, promoting Brandon Beane, etc., I've seen a lot of bad pressers. We, as sports fans, Bronco fans in general, but sports fans, have seen really bad pressers. That presser today from the Buffalo Bills might actually take the cake. You have the owner, I believe his name was Pregula for the Bills, actually say the loud part out loud, of like, we basically not even respecting the time that Sean McDermott gave that organization, whether he should have been fired or not, or whatever. But, he still went to playoff appearances, championship appearances, whatever, but taking that time to basically slam the previous coach that was there, while also slamming a draft pick you had recently took 2 years ago or 1 year ago or whatever it was. So saying the loud part out loud, I mean, like, it is just absolutely insane how much you actually have to like read the room on that. Like, do not say the loud part out loud. Take your respect for what was Sean McDermott, and give thanks to stuff and move on. Do not say, oh, it was the coaching staff's decision to draft Keon Coleman, not Brandon Beans, even though we all know when you draft players, it all falls necessarily on the general manager. And then what was it? People come out and they find a video where they says, I'm really thankful that Keon Coleman, ran a 4.6 140 so that we can be able to take him here. I mean, it's just like, it's just insane to me. It's just insane to me how just the Broncos really broke the heart and soul of that Bills roster. So, and frankly, just in general, if you will, when I say roster, I mean like from top to bottom.
Oh
yeah. Just real quick too, as far as just a little note that I noticed too, before we dive into this Patriots game, that McMillan interception I thought was very reminiscent of, speaking of the Packers game, that interception that Pat Surtain had in that game where the Buffalo Bills tried to go for that kill shot in overtime. And McMillan made that interception. Obviously, Jordan Love tried to go for that kill shot, and Pat Surtain ended up intercepting it. So very, very similar plays that are obviously some of the top plays for the Broncos this year. This Patriots game, we didn't get a chance to talk about it right at the top, but in previewing of the game, you got to start with the obvious. The Broncos were dealt some very unfortunate news about 30 to 45 minutes after the game of Bo Nix.
It's Bro Nix now, dude.
Yeah, bro. Breaking his ankle. Literally after the game, the news broke, and there was a lot of conflicting reports of of that, like it was the second to last play. Obviously, Sean said second to last play, but he meant the running play where it happened on the meaningless play that Brandon talked about. So he goes down. He immediately flies down to Alabama, very familiar territory to him. He has the exact same doctor, funny enough, as Joe Burrow, who had his 2-year hiatus, of course, from social media, tweeting out that. Anyway, that's a very funny point anyway. But anyway, he sees the same doctor as him, and the surgery went well today, of course, because we got the update. So Broncos will be rolling with Jarrett Stidham against the New England Patriots. Jarrett Stidham, and yes, for anybody that does not know, anybody that is on the X Twitter platform, everybody in Broncos country is rallying around Jarrett Stidham as starting quarterback. Brandon and myself have updated our profile pictures over there, Jordan is a bit lacking, if you will, and hasn't changed up his.
Some would say I've changed it, but
But to tie a bow on all of it, I'm going to ask you, Brandon, because like you cannot have a drop off between Bo Nix and Jarrett Stidham. However, because I think when people say the offense is going to be more consistent, more consistent, than Bo Nix, I think is doing a little bit of a disservice to Bo. So I just ask you, do you find it that they might be the same or a little bit more consistent with Stidham at quarterback?
I don't know if I'm going to go either way with this one, to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to be more consistent. I think Bo's a better quarterback than Jarrett Stidham. Straight up.
Thank you.
I think
top 10 quarterback.
I think that Jarrett Stidham is going to. Here's the thing. I kind of get where they're coming from, but it's not. I don't know if they're explaining it the best way. I don't think it's like a situation where it's going to be more consistent. I think what Jarrett Stidham gives you is he gives you a floor that is. I'm not saying it's like a higher floor than Bo, but I think it's just like at a different level. Like Jarrett Stidham, he's going to give you the on-time plays. He's going to like throw the quick, 3-step, 5-step drop route concepts. He's going to throw like some slants. He's going to put the ball in the right place. He's going to, do the things that you need your quarterback to do. I do truly believe this. I think the offense is going to be passable. I think it's going to be competent. I don't think it's going to be great. I definitely don't think it's going to be as good as Bo. I don't think it's going to be more consistent than Bo or as consistent as Bo. But I think you're going to get a level of, I don't know like the best term to use here, because it's not necessarily consistency. I just think you're going to be able to get a competency, I guess is the best way to describe it. You're going to get a competent quarterback who's not going to blow you away. He's not going to make the same crazy plays that Bo makes. He's not going to do like that, falling down ridiculous touchdown pass. He's not going to give you he's not as good of a thrower on the run. He's okay of a thrower on the run. He just is a downgrade in most ways to what Bo does, but he's still serviceable. Like, you're going to get a serviceable offense. If J.K. Dobbins is truly back, that's going to be an absolute huge boon. If Pat Bryant can come back, I think that's going to be amazing as well. I would push back on it's going to be more consistent. I just think it's going to be, you're going to get a competent, serviceable quarterback and offense, and it's going to be passable. It's not going to have like the same crazy moments. It might not have the same up. It might not even have the same downs. That is something that you've kind of seen with Bo sometimes, is he'll go through phases, and this is normal of really any quarterback. He against the Bills, he had quite a few passes that were battered at the line, and I don't know if that's on. I'm not gonna say that's even on Bo. I think the defensive line for the Bills showed up in a big way, but you just kind of get that ebb and flow of sometimes it's crazy, and then sometimes he makes mistakes. I'm yeah, that's gonna happen. It's not gonna be quite the same with Jarrett Stidham. You're not gonna get the peaks that you would get, but I think you are again going to just get serviceable quarterback play.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's not going to do anything to really hurt us, and he's not going to really do anything to really propel us over the top, which is what we should be asking for from him. I'm very worried about the playmakers around him, because we've seen them all year not live up and help Bo throughout the season, and there has been times where Bo has put on the cape and really carried this team. I don't think Stidham can do that. So I am really hoping that the playmakers now can really just play their game and step up and make plays for Stidham, because if they're now on their A game, then it's going to be really hard for Stiddy to really put on that cape and really propel this offense, because it takes a lot. You're not going to have your running game. You don't know what you're going to get day in and day out. You don't know where you're going to get from Courtland Sutton day in and day out, who's your main guy. You don't know if Evan Ingram's ever going to come to life. So it's going to be tough. So I'm hoping the playmakers around them, they're not dropping any easy passes. They're getting some yak. So it's going to be tough. Again, he's not going to make the Superman plays that Bo has made throughout the season, but very serviceable quarterback play. I think Stidham is one of the, and I think I agree with Sean Payton. I think he's one of the 32 best quarterbacks. And I'm not saying that because he's on the Broncos. I'm saying that because of what we've seen. So I like Stidham in this position. We're not going to ask him to do a ton, and we're not going to ask him to put us in jeopardy. So I like him in this game, and I ultimately do think that he'll have a good game.
I agree. And for anybody that, wants to spout off about, that he really hasn't had an opportunity or whatever, go look at his career. You could argue he probably should have started with the Raiders based on their quarterback history. But you go look at it, Josh McDaniels clearly who they will be facing, who clearly they will be facing, right? As far, I shouldn't say facing, but Josh McDaniels will be on the other side as an offensive coordinator. He loves Jarrett Stidham. When they were with the Raiders, it was one of the first moves, if not the first move, just like Sean Payton, bringing him in. So Sean Payton, the very first move he made when he was in Denver was signing Jarrett Stidham to a 2-year, $10 a 2-year, $10 million contract. And why did Jarrett Stidham not see the field in New England? There was a Hall of Fame quarterback in front of him. Like, there's a Hall of Fame quarterback in front of him. So don't play this dumb thing with me, in terms of Jarrett Stidham. And then he comes over to the Broncos, and then and then obviously he has the exact same situation with Bo. But when the opportunity has come, what does he do? He has great games against the Kansas City Chiefs, and he has great games against the San Francisco 49ers. And I believe it was in that same year those two teams met in the Super Bowl. So he has clearly, when that time has come, in very rare games and rare opportunities, has come out and play. And the most important part of this, he's at home. I'm going to yell that from the rooftops. It's a very rare situation where you have a moment where a backup quarterback like this is thrust into a certain situation and they're home. They're usually gifted keys, and it's a very uncomfortable situation where they're on the road. No, they're at home, and the home team can rally around Jarrett Stidham, and he can be that competent quarterback that can be, if you will, just simply a quarterback and not a playmaker out of the pocket and a true athlete out of the pocket like we know that Bo Nix can be, but just be a guy who's competent enough, move the ball around, hit his playmakers, hit his assets that's on that offense. And I think I will just say this. I think the Broncos, nothing's going to change schematically. The only thing that I would just say from a schematic standpoint is you might be a little bit more heavy on the running game. And I think that from the vantage point of, when you look at it from the standpoint of Dobbins specifically coming back, and I believe it's very obvious that he is coming back, it'll be the best news for the Broncos to do a true running back by committee with R.J. Harvey, Dobbins, everything we were kind of expecting at the beginning of the year. And I think that running game is going to lead into the idea of everything we were hoping to see at times with some of the Bo Nix offense, which was some of those bootlegs, the play action, everything that has been fed off of some of the best offenses for the Broncos this year. I think that, there's not going to be much change. There really is not going to be much change, I think, schematically. I think the only thing that's going to be different is just players are going to be involved that probably weren't. I think you are going to see a little bit more Evan Ingram in that game. I do.
To me, I think the biggest thing that's going to really set the tone in this game, obviously, return of J.K. Dobbins huge. The pass rush to me is going to be the difference maker. Like, if we're able to get pressure on, like we were able to get pressure on Josh Allen, I think that's going to be huge. I don't know if you guys saw, Will Campbell, their rookie left tackle, came back. Patriots never won a playoff game in Denver. That's also true. Also, you can't buy a ticket to this game unless you live in the Rocky Mountains, which is pretty badass, actually. Don't lose to the Raiders, then you could be in the situation, New England. But anyway, what I was getting at is Patriots left tackle, Will Campbell, probably going to be a great left tackle in the league. Like, I think he's a good player, but he has looked pretty rough since he came back from injury this year. And I think he's going to be pretty easy to take advantage of by this pass rush. So I'm expecting them to go off. I think that's going to be the key to winning this game is, Jarrett, come in, be efficient, don't turn the ball over, make some plays when they're there. This defense is good, yes, but it's not, a world beater. And lean on your running game some more with J.K. Dobbins back, and let the defense force some fumbles. Let the positive turnover regression continue. Because that was kind of the other story of the game for the Patriots is Drake May also fumbled it like a couple times in their last game. And I just think that's something that we can definitely exploit with the way that Will Campbell has looked for them. That to me is going to be the biggest difference maker. But I do think Stidham is going to come out and play a better game than I think people would expect from a backup. I think he's going to be, again, solid. Is he going to be great? No. Is he going to make mistakes? Probably. But I think he will be solid. I'm not saying Denver's pass rush is what the Texans are, but we also have the most sacks in the league, man. by far, by a lot.
I'm not gonna lie. That
He's just talking. He's just
Not even
talking.
close.
He's just
Yeah,
talking.
there's a couple of people in the comment section that's whatever, but I really want to see how physical this offensive line can get on Sunday, because if we're not able to run the ball, and I understand the Patriots have a great run defense and Milton Williams is an absolute animal, but if we can't run the ball at a consistent clip, whether I'm not even asking for big yards, I'm asking 3 to 4 yards a pop. If we can't do that, then we're gonna struggle a little bit. So I'm really interested to see the physicality of this offensive line. The defensive line, they've been showing up all year. I am more worried about the safeties, if anything, and more so. I know PJ Locke just had a great game, but I do feel like Drake May can probably, take advantage of his matchup one-on-one or man-to-man and stuff like that. So, but I do have all the trust in the world in this defense. I know they've been giving up points as of late, and we voiced our concerns about the defense with how they've played the last few games. But I do think they rise for. Listen, it's tough to play. It really is. So I think it plays to our advantage, and the defense should have another great game.
Yeah. And if there's anything, and Brandon even alluded to it, like if there is anything as far as something that's going to be a big key to this game is, this is aside from their first playoff game that the Patriots had at home, like, and of course Houston, like this is going to be their first true road test, right, of the playoffs, right, and they're going to be coming into a pretty hostile environment, and keeping it a buck, Drake May has not been that MVP that everybody wants to crown, and if you want to be an MVP. And if people think that Drake May is an MVP, I don't know. Maybe he should play like an MVP against the Texans and not, maybe he shouldn't actually turn the ball over as much as he did against the Texans. Because if you're an MVP, you shouldn't. Texans defense, is the best in the league. So, but he's the MVP, so he should have just waxed them in the snow. Didn't happen. And Jesse Minter came into Foxborough, and they still only put up a small amount of points. He has clearly not been the same entering the playoffs. Drake May has had a phenomenal year. I just think that when you look specifically at this game and everything that's going to be leading up to it, it's going to be a really hard environment. It's going to be a really hard environment. And the other thing that I think is going to be, and you look specifically at, this Broncos and New England game, it's the trenches. That offensive line that they faced against the Chargers and the Texans is nowhere near the offensive line that the Denver Broncos have. Offensive line, that the Patriots will be facing. They have a really good defensive line, but it is, I would just say probably from the offensive line standpoint on that other side, it's not the Bills' offensive line, which was very size heavy, right? Which was like one of the biggest takeaways of that Broncos-Bills game was the trenches. So I still believe that this game could be won and lost, in the trenches. But if that can happen, and if they can be able to continue to get to Drake May and create some of these same turnovers, it's going to be another really hard, tough, hard-fought game. But if you're creating turnovers once again, the Broncos will be in this game because that's going to be, once again, short field and everything else.
I think you could make a legitimate case that this also, and this is going to sound crazy, but could potentially be the best quarterback that the Patriots has faced in the playoffs so far, which is insane to say as a backup. But if you guys watched the past two games that the Patriots played against the Chargers and the Texans, Justin Herbert looked very bad, straight up inept. I don't know what happened to CJ Stroud, but he's imploded. He looked like gargantuan fall off from that rookie season. He just looked terrible. And I think there's a legitimate case that you could say that Jarrett Stidham could play better than both of those guys. I'm not saying overall he's a better quarterback than either of those guys, but I think given just what we've seen out of both CJ Stroud and Justin Herbert recently, Jarrett Stidham could play better. Straight up. He could have a better performance on the field. That was just insane how poorly those two played.
Yeah. Tough.
And as far as the defense, I mean, what's your guys' take on some of the defense? Because I look at the Broncos defense, and as we said, the turnovers were their biggest saving grace. The turnovers were their biggest saving grace in that game against the Bills. All in all, they were being waxed up and down the field. Yeah, Josh Allen was the reason they lost the game, as we said, but he was also the reason why they were in the game. And the trenches and the heavy personnel, was a large part of that game, right? Obviously, I don't expect it to be roughly the same, but the playmaker side of things, it is roughly the same as Buffalo in the sense that you have Stephon Diggs and some decent slept-on wide receivers. In pop, Matt Collins isn't going to be there. Kyle Williams hasn't really had much run, and obviously Kashawn Boutte has really stepped up for the Patriots, here in this playoffs. So I think that when you look at this game, like the playmaker side of things, it's going to be interesting to see how the Broncos, attack it because, the tight ends too. The tight ends is pretty much the same. If there's probably one thing that might be the same identical part of Buffalo, it's the two tight ends, right? Like it's the two tight ends for the New England Patriots. They have a couple really good tight ends there. And then on the running side of things, no, they don't have James Cook, but they do have Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, who obviously we as Bronco fans wish we would have drafted. But all things considered, Harvey's been turned out well.
It's going to be interesting. I think Hunter Henry didn't practice today, or he was limited in practice today. So
he'll probably still play.
Also, Harold Landry for the Patriots did not practice today with a knee injury, so that will also be something to monitor moving forward. But yeah, I think for the biggest test on this defense is definitely going to be, can they stop? Can we limit the run game? Drake May has been very, very good. Don't get me wrong. I think still making him beat us through the air is going to be, I'm not saying that's going to be the path to victory, and he could definitely still decimate us, but you can't let Travion Henderson do what Travion Henderson does. Like, he is incredibly explosive. He's had, I think, at least 3 50-yard touchdown runs that I'm aware of this season. So you definitely got to be more in it in the run game than you have been in the past, and specifically against the Bills. I just kind of am sad that I'm not sure how much of a leading candidate Vance Joseph is for any of these head coaching interviews, because honestly, I think we need a different defensive coordinator. Like, I don't have anything against Vance. I think he's a good defensive coordinator, but there's just something up with his defenses later in the year that they just don't work.
And obviously, we don't mean it in a bad way. Like, and we would have to be careful when we say that, because it's not like we're saying he needs to be fired. It's just,
I just want him to be hired elsewhere as a head coach so we can hire someone else. I like Vance. I'm not saying I don't like Vance. I think he's a great defensive coordinator, but there's something wrong. I don't know.
But all in all, the best way you could do it is move on to the next, And I get it. The Broncos didn't actually have like the best end of a season, if you will. But to their credit, they were very flip the switch when it comes to the turnovers. If you can bring that same type of aggressiveness that they had at the midway point of the year, and they bring some turnovers on top of that, which they probably could have converted in some games, it's going to be a very interesting game because yes, Drake May has never been in that stadium, and it's his first road test of the entire playoffs. And even Julian Edelman, even Rob Gronkowski, even Tom Brady has talked about how tough it is to play in that stadium. So for all these Patriots fans that are spouting off about how this is going to be such an easy win, it is never easy in the Mile High City. It is never easy in the Mile High City. And if it is, guess what? Because we're fans, we have an excuse because our starting quarterback was out.
I think they forgot what it's like to play here, but they're going to remember real quick.
I will say this too, though. I mean, just simply from a Patriots and a Broncos side of things, it just feels so good, though, in the last 10 years. It feels like elite script writing for it to be in like 10 years ago. It was the Broncos and Patriots and the AFC Championship. And we've reached the point where it's the Broncos and the Patriots again and the AFC Championship. It is elite script writing.
Yep. I mean, 10 years later, Broncos, Patriots, back game, Raiders still suck. I mean, still great.
Yeah.
Nature is healing.
Nature is healing. And then obviously I say all of that because I do think it's going to be a really tough matchup. And I'm a Bronco fan, and because it's, we're all riding high, if you will. Could it be a Patriots win? Absolutely, it can. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a Patriots win. But just just as far as the just the vibes and just rolling with the Broncos, I'm going to roll Broncos. I'll say Broncos win this game. I think it's going to be really close. I do think it's probably one of those, whether it's the Patriots way or the Broncos way, I think it ends up being a game-winning field goal. And I really do think there's a chance the Broncos can have to take away this game. And I think based on last year too, like with how Will Lutz had that missed field goal at half, even whether or not they beat the Bills, I think it would be a little bit surprising if there wasn't another Will Lutz, continued arc, if you will, of getting better, since that last year in the playoffs. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's another game-winning field goal on deck for Will.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a good game. It's going to be tough for sure. Like this is not going to be an easy game. I just have to keep the magic going in my heart and in my soul, and I'm going to say that the Broncos win, but I'm going to say it's like 23-20. But it's going to be a good game for sure. It's probably going to be another, cardiac Broncos situation. But I think it'll be good.
Yeah, for me, I have the Broncos winning 21-20, 1 point game. And I'm pretty sure you guys know.
Oh, did we lose Jordan?
Say that I have a certain prediction for this.
You definitely did.
You know what it is, Cam?
What is it?
I've said weeks and weeks before that Hufanga will finally get his interception.
No, geez.
In the AFC
Actually, I said that for weeks, so
you both did.
I have specifically said that Hufanga is going to get his interception in the AFC Championship game against Drake May to seal it in Mile High, and I've said that for weeks. On Sunday, we see it coming to fruition.
Okay.
Yeah. So 21-20. Brandon?
23-20.
23-20. That's actually my score. Yes, I think it's going to be like 23-20. I say all of that. Oh, and by the way, if we're going to be talking about stats, Jim Nantz and Tony Romo are on the call. And as much as I'm not a big Tony Romo fan, the Broncos are undefeated this year, with that cast of characters. So all in all, I do think it's going to be a really good game. And I also want to remind people in Broncos country And I hope even in the national media, obviously we're fans, and that's the whole point of being a fanatic. I want us to also take a moment and really just kind of sit back and really relish in the fact of how great this season has been. For all intents and purposes, they've won 2 playoff games because of the first round bye, right? They won their playoff game to go to the AFC Championship game, right? And then this last year, they had an away road game in Buffalo. And then that following year, it was very appropriate where they played Buffalo in that game at home, and they won that game. Where the quarterback, where the quarterback, if you will, Bo Nix, went toe-to-toe with the reigning MVP and won that football game on the legs of carrying the team in that game, so much so that he ended up breaking his ankle, which is just so sad. But one of the best games we'll ever see. And as we said, it was the most watched NFL game or game on since the 1994 Olympics. I believe the Broncos tweeted that out, which is nuts. So I think that it's one where, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely excited for how this season's gone, and yeah, I'm definitely hoping that we can be able to come away with the victory. But it's one where, man, this has been such a successful season so far, and the growth of the team.
Yep,
for sure.
Yeah. And yes, while I get it, it's I'm happy with it. Sure, I'm not an athlete. I'm not in the room where I could just say that like it's Super Bowl or bust. But when you look specifically at everything Sean Payton envisioned for the team, there were 3 things. They've accomplished 2 of them. That's a 66%. That's a passing grade, not a failing grade. That's a passing grade. So that's good enough for me, if you will. And then hopefully we can continue to grow more. Any other final thoughts?
Dude, if we win this game, I'm going to buy a Jarrett Stidham jersey regardless. But if we win this game and Jarrett Stidham comes out and he dresses like the LeBron meme with the headphones and the glasses, Ring of Fame.
Yep.
Ring of Fame.
I agree.
Yeah. Jordan, final. Do you have any final thoughts?
Man, 1 win away from the Super Bowl. It still really hasn't hit me, but Broncos win, and potentially we get rumors and we get hopes of just maybe one of the greatest stories of all time. But we have to win first.
There's probably one thing we didn't get a chance to maybe mention a little bit of, and no, he is not playing, but the Denver Broncos, as Mega mentions, they are overdogs again at home. And if there is one thing, whether Bo Nix has been at the helm or not, that has been one of the biggest elements where this team has been pissed off. So if you really want to feel pissed off, favor the Patriots. Favor the Patriots for the Denver Broncos at home in the Mile High City. Incredibly disrespectful for an AFC Championship game. And look, did it turn the favor for the Miami Hurricanes winning that game? I hate to stab Jordan on this one. No, but it was a really good national championship from start to finish, and it was just because of the energy of them playing the card of being disrespectful or being disrespected, if you will. So the Broncos being picked as the overdogs are feeling disrespected. So, and with that, hopefully we talk about it. Hopefully we talk about another Denver Broncos win. I will not be available next week because I will be over in Mobile, Alabama, for the Senior Bowl, getting a chance to look at some draft prospects, maybe some featured Denver Broncos. Hopefully not having a flood of like 15,000 messages from Jordan telling me that I need to get Ruben Bain on the Mainly Broncos podcast, So hopefully that doesn't happen. But the guys might actually end up doing a show next week. So we'll see. We'll definitely be doing some more talking. But shout out to you guys. Shout out to the chat. It was definitely lively. We definitely had some energetic conversations, possible trolls, if you will, maybe from the New England side. We do love you guys. We do love you guys. I obviously, it's one where it's the whole point of being a fanatic, right? It's the whole point of being a fan and the fanatic, if you will. But we all kind of mean well, if you will. Obviously, like I said, it kind of maybe got a little bit too rambunctious at times, if you will. But nonetheless, the Denver Broncos are hopefully going to be coming out on top, and we're going to be talking about a Denver Broncos win here next week. Again, make sure you hit the subscribe button for the MHRT Network page. There is a join feature. There's different features, different levels of it. Feel free to subscribe to whatever it is you feel like your heart's content on that. And then, you could either hit the subscribe button as well. There's also a Mainly Broncos YouTube channel. We do a bunch of short form. Obviously, this live stream. If you missed it over here on the MHRT Network page, you can get it over there on that channel if it's easier to find over there. And then obviously, before we lose it, if you will, on our accounts over there on X, Twitter, we go live. We go live over there on all 4 of the Twitter accounts. Mine at Cameron Parker PO, at Brandon Miller PO, at Jordan T. Lopez, and of course the MHRT Network page. Again, it was a blast. Like, it was an absolute blast. Thank you to everybody that was that was really hopping in the chat. It was, it was great. And yes, Maddie, we love you. We really wish you were definitely here. So hopefully we're talking about Denver Broncos win. And it seems fitting. It seems fitting for us to lead off with a God bless Bo Nix before we round out the show.
Let's go Broncos! God bless Bo Nix!
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flame out. So high.